Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 51 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, Ayaz, you wasn't on last week's show, of course, and we've got you back now. And I've got a sneaky suspicion that the reason you wasn't on last week's show was because you didn't want to live up to the fact that we're now 2-1 on the scoreboards, on the prediction league, I should say. Obviously, you were leading the way 2-0 for quite a while, and then you picked Kell Brook to win his fight against Golovkin. I picked Golovkin to win, so I moved to 2-1. So I just want to make sure that you've written that score down now.
Oh, yes, definitely. I've written that score down already.
Okay, make sure. All right, we're going to jump straight into part one. I'm going to start over in Philadelphia. This happened on the Thursday night. Last week's show went out on a Thursday night, so it was a couple of hours before this fight took place, but I did mention it. It was over in Philadelphia, of course. Top of the bill, Dusty Hernandez Harrison. He's been on our show before. He moved to 30-0. He's, of course, got the one draw with a unanimous decision win after 10 rounds over Thomas Lamanna. He also picked up the vacant USBA welterweight title, and also on that bill, young prospect, mentioned him a bunch of times, Devin Haney. He cruised to 10-0 with a TKO in the 5th round over his opponent, Mike Fowler. Now, that was it for the Thursday. Now, we're going to go over to the Friday of last week now. A bill taking place over in Denmark. Lalenga Mock topped the bill, and he picked up his 36th professional win. It was a 10-round unanimous decision win over Derek Finley. So his record now 36 wins, 14 losses and 1 draw. The only reason we mention him, of course, is because he knocked down David Haye once upon a time. He's kind of built his name off of that, if you like. That's it for that one. We're now going to go over to a card that happened over in Japan. We're just cruising from continent to continent here very, very quickly. Top of the bill, Shinsuke Yamanaka. I think that's how you say his first name. He took on Anselmo Marino. Now, Yamanaka had a record of 25-0 with the 2 draws. Marino, 36 wins, 4 losses and 1 draw. It was for Yamanaka's WBC World Bantamweight title, a real hot division at the moment. And Marino was down in the first round, so it was a bad start for him. He was also down in the 6th round, but Yamanaka was down in the 4th round, so both men were down by the 5th round. In the 6th, as I said, Marino was put down for the 2nd time, and then in round 7, Marino was put down twice. So Yamanaka actually got the TKO in that round 7, so a good win for him, but certainly a lot of questions there. He took on an opponent, really 31 years of age, been in 40-odd bouts. He's a lot older, and Yamanaka's a lot fresher, youth on his side. It was a bit questionable. I think it took a while for Yamanaka to get going, but nonetheless, a good win for him. And also on that bill, the WBC World Super Bantamweight title was being contested. Hazumi Hasegawa, the champion, he retained his belt with a retirement in the 9th round. His opponent, Hugo Ruiz, 36-3, his record going into this bout. He actually, he didn't come out for the 10th round. He retired on his store at the end of the 9th. So Hugo Ruiz now, as I said, 36 wins and the 4 losses, and the champion Hasegawa retains his belt and he picks up his 36th career win. Of course, he's got the 5 losses, probably viewed as one of the weaker champions in the Super Bantamweight division. So it'd be interesting what the future holds for that one. That's it for Asia. That's it for Japan, certainly for the Friday. We're now going to go over, of course, still on the Friday, we're going to go over to the Cosmopolitan over in Las Vegas. Top of the bill, Ishe Smith, 28-8 going into this bout. He took on Frank Galaza, 17-1 with the 2 draws. Ishe Smith put his man down in round 2, so a good start to the fight from Ishe Smith on this Mayweather card. And of course, he managed to pick pick up the win, but it was a majority decision after 10 rounds. So it was a little bit close after that knockdown. I think Ishe Smith maybe thought he had it in the bag early, and a lot of the late rounds Frank Galaza actually managed to nick. So a good close contest, to be honest. But Ishe Smith nonetheless marches on with his 29th career win there. Also on the bill, a bit of an upset here. Well, not a bit of an upset, quite a big upset. Dominic Dalton, 17-0, undefeated going into his bout against Justin Deloach, who only had one loss on his record in 16 fights. He was 15-1. He took on Dominic Dalton. Dominic Dalton was expected to win here. He was, of course, the home fighter, if you like, and he lost unanimously after 10 rounds, including one of the judges' scorecard had it 99-91 in favour of Justin Deloach. So a hugely wide gap there. And Dominic Dalton served up his first professional loss. So it'd be interesting to see how he bounces back after that. Also on the bill, we had him on our show a couple of weeks back, Jalen Love. He cruised to 23 wins with the one loss. He picked up a TKO win in round 6 over Deshaun Johnson. Good to get a knockout there. Deshaun Johnson's been in there and mixed it with some big names. Doesn't really get stopped too often, even though he's got 19 losses. So a good win there for Leon Love there to get the stoppage. Also on that bill, Sharif Boguer, in his 30th professional contest, he picked up his 29th win there. Of course, he's got the one loss with a TKO in round 5 over Luis Flores, who had a record of 21-4, now 21-5. Also on the bill, Lanel Bellows, he was expected to win his fight. Another upset on this bill. He lost a split decision over 8 rounds against DiCarlo Perez. So DiCarlo Perez now 16 wins, 5 losses and 1 draw. And Lanel Bellows, I don't know what he's going to do from here, because that was a fight he was definitely expected to win. So all the best to Lanel Bellows. I hope he can bounce back again. A good fighter with some decent chances of becoming a big name in the division that he's in, of course, the light heavyweight ranks. But that's it for America. We're now going to come over to Saturday. It's now Saturday of last week, of course, the 17th of September. We're going to go over to Germany. Firat Arslan topped the bill against Nuri Seferi. Now, this was for the vacant WBO European Cruiserweight title. Firat Arslan picked up a unanimous decision win after 12 rounds, so he becomes the new WBO European Cruiserweight champion. His record now 38 wins, 8 losses and 2 draws. His opponent 37 wins and 8 losses. So both men, I remember saying it last week, both men had 37 wins on their record. It was set to be a good fight, and Arslan got the job done. Also on that bill, Karo Murat, former victim of both Nathan Cleverly and Bernard Hopkins. He picked up the vacant WBA International Light Heavyweight title. He got his man out of there in the 12th round, left it very late. His man only had 12 fights under his belt at the time going into the ring. It was pretty bizarre. 8-4, his record. I did say it was a bit of a strange one, but he got the job done. He got the stoppage, even though he left it late. And that's his 30th career win there for Karo Murat. His record now 30 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. Manuel Char was also on this bill. He picked up his 30th win also on the bill, and this was a 10-round unanimous decision win in his favour. He's still got the 4 losses on his record, and he defeated Sefer Seferi, who had a record of 21-0, now 21-1. Manuel Char also picked up the vacant WBA International Heavyweight title in that bout, and also on that bill, another strange one, the Cuban Odlanier Solis. He picked up his 22nd career win. He's of course got the 3 losses with a points win after 8 rounds over pretty much unknown Alexander Todorovic, who had a record of 8 wins, 9 losses and 1 draw. That's now 8 wins, 10 losses and 1 draw. So I expected Solis to get the stoppage here, and he didn't, to be honest, but nonetheless he got the win. But that's it for Germany. We're now going to go over to Poland. A real good fight. This card was picked up by Sky Sports last minute, and it was one that I was going to tune into, and I did, of course. I'm going to start with the undercard. Really one fight to mention on that undercard for me. Ondrej Warzik, I think I'm pronouncing his name so wrong. He had a record of 32-1 going into his fight against Polish-born but Red Hill resident Albert Sosnowski, 49 wins, 7 losses and 2 draws going into this fight. He was hoping to pick up his 50th career win, a huge record, but never really mixed it at a high level. And when he has, he's been stopped and beaten up. And of course, he was in there a little bit deeper than he liked, to be honest. He couldn't swim when thrown in deep water. Warzik ended up picking up a TKO in round 6, so he cruises to 33-1, and he'll be looking for a big crack at or at least one of the belts or one of the titles in due time. He looked pretty good, Warzik, and again, we just don't know what Sosnowski had left. I think it's time for him to hang up the gloves, to be honest, but I'm sure he'll want to try and get that 50th win before that, but he kind of lost every round, so he really has to go back to the drawing board and give it a big think. Now, the main event of this card was a real good fight. It was one that was highly anticipated. Both men unbeaten. Somebody's had to go. The champion, Krzysztof Glowacki, the WBO World Cruiserweight Champion, of course, put his belt on the line against former gold medalist in the Olympics, Alexander Usyk. Now, we know that Usyk was relatively inexperienced in the pro ranks, a real extensive amateur career, impressive, as I said about the gold medal there. He was 9-0, and Glowacki was 26-0, and Usyk was absolutely fantastic. A real good fight to watch. If you want to see skills, if you want to see how to move, he was absolutely brilliant on his feet, landing a real wide variety of different shots. Both hands, he was brilliant. Usyk was absolutely brilliant, and he gets the win, so he puts the first loss on Glowacki's record, and he's now the WBO World Cruiserweight Champion in his 10th fight, so that's another impressive stat right there. So Usyk was brilliant, and I really think he's going to be looking towards the other champions in the division. And I mean, light heavyweight, there's a lot of good fighters at light heavyweight, there's a lot of good fighters at heavyweight, but just in between that, of course, this cruiserweight division is not too talented. I want to say, I don't want to knock anybody when I say that. I know that you've got Tony Bellew there, but I think that Usyk really, he could probably beat the rest of the champions. So I think he'll be trying to hunt them down sooner rather than later. And I really think he's got the beating of a lot of guys in that division. I'd say, I don't want to say it too quickly. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think he really is, if not the best, he's certainly second out of the rest of them. But that's it for Poland. We're now going to go over to the United States, back over there. This card happened over in Hampshire. Friend of the show, Gary Spike O'Sullivan, he moved to 23 wins. Of course, he's got the 2 losses. He picked up a unanimous decision win after 8 rounds over Jamie Barboza, who had a record of 19 wins and 8 losses. Steve Collins Jr. was also on that bill. He picked up a KO in round 2 over Cristiano Pedro. Cristiano Pedro only had 1 professional contest on his record. It was 1 win. And Steve Collins Jr. now 9 wins, 0 losses and the 1 draw. That's it for Hampshire. We're now going to stay in America, but we're going to go over to Pennsylvania. Top of the bill, Brian Minto, former world title challenger, of course. He announced his retirement before the bout. I thought that perhaps if he lost, he might actually fight once more, but he managed to get a win. He managed to get a KO as well, a TKO I should say, in the 5th round over Andras Samor, who had a record of 17-11 with 1 draw. So Brian Minto, if he keeps his word and stays retired now, his record would have finished on 42 wins, 11 losses. So a good record, I guess, and he hung around way too long, but it's good to end on a high. So I hope he really does stick to his word and call it a day. That's it for Pennsylvania. We're going to stay in America once again. We're going to go over to the big one at the AT&T Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys in Texas, USA. Top of the bill, our very own Liam Beefy Smith putting his WBO World Super Welterweight title on the line against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Wow, oh wow. Everybody didn't really give a chance to Liam Smith. A lot of people thought that he was going to get knocked out. They thought he was going to go early. It was kind of like the Golovkin and Brook fight. To be honest, when everybody was talking about the fight beforehand, it was a little bit like, this man's not good enough. This man's not good enough. It was always going to be a lot closer than the Brook fight and Gennady Golovkin fight going into it. That's all I can say, because I think Brook was brilliant in that Golovkin fight. As I say, I had it 2 rounds apiece going into the 5th round. He'd done a lot better than a lot of people expected him to do. But in this fight, it was always going to be, there was a depth in class. There was always going to be a depth in class. But I just had that sneaky suspicion that Liam Smith might be able to pull it out of the bag, even though he's only fought much lesser opponents. His best win on his record, really someone that many people wouldn't have even heard of, certainly not your average person on the street. And that was over John Thompson. So he was going into this bout as a huge underdog, both sides of the Atlantic. And I've got to say, I really think that he done really well in parts of it. I really think he did. I think there were some rounds where he was pushing Canelo back. He had Canelo on the ropes. He was landing shots, but his power couldn't bother Canelo. It was a real shame, because it was like, I saw a tweet saying, it was like Liam Smith went to a gunfight with a pea shooter. And I know that that's a bit of a harsh term, but it was sort of like that. And I mean that with no disrespect whatsoever. I'm a huge admirer of the Smith brothers. All 4 of them have been absolutely tremendous for British boxing. Really, really brilliant. Every single one of them. But I got to say here, I just got to be brutally honest. He just wasn't good enough. And I'm not saying that because Liam Smith's a bad fighter. I'm saying it because Canelo just showed his class. He's suited to 154. That is his weight division. He is suited to 154. I don't think he's as good when he moves up. I know he only goes up a pound, but when he was fighting, the likes of Cotto and a few other guys, I really don't think he was that impressive. I think he looked brilliant. He was so sharp. He was amazing, because I know that he during the fight, I know that he'd hurt his right hand, and it was a bit confusing. He said that afterwards, and he was still throwing the right hand quite a lot, so people weren't too sure. But it turned out he actually suffered a fractured right thumb after the fight. That was confirmed. But Alvarez, he was really loading up on the left hands, which was really good to see. Sometimes he kind of throw like a left hook followed by a left uppercut followed by a left jab, all within like a second. It was just whack, whack, whack. So it was really impressive from Alvarez. And of course, while he's doing that, he's very much open to the overhand right. And Liam Smith, just his timing was off, as he said himself. He just, I don't know. I don't want to say he wasn't himself, because as I say, he's never operated at that level, but he put in a great performance. A lot of people didn't really give him a round. I think the commentary was a tiny bit harsh, even though Barry Jones is a good friend of mine. I think he was brilliant, but he wasn't good enough to win the majority of the rounds. He was doing really good. He wasn't getting mugged off. He wasn't disgracing himself whatsoever. I know I'm rambling on a bit now, but I just want to stress to people that he done really, really well. I'm really proud of him. I think he done exceptional, but he would win like 1 minute 20 seconds of a round, but lose 1 minute 40 of a round, and it just seemed the same thing as the rounds were going on. But he did get a few rounds under his belt, maybe 2 or 3. But I'll get down to what happened. So Alvarez was cut from a punch on his left eye. That was in the 2nd round. That was a bit of a slow start from Smith, to be honest, but he kind of warmed into the fight as it went on, and Smith was cut on his right eye from a punch in the 5th round. Smith was down in round 7 and 8, and of course down and out from a final body shot in the 9th. He's brilliant with his own body shots, but he was getting hit with a few of them, or too many of them. And Canelo, he threw it like a dummy jab to the chest, which kind of like the chest, sort of shoulder, sort of face area. He threw it upstairs, as I should say. Canelo just touched him upstairs, and Liam Smith's hands come up, and whack, he just threw in the finisher, which was of course a left hook to the body, and it was devastating. It hit him right in the perfect place. It was a great punch, and to be honest, it's probably Liam Smith's signature punch. He's fantastic, and all the Smith brothers are fantastic with their body shots. But he kind of got a taste of his own medicine a little bit. But as I say, I'm gutted for Liam Smith, because Liam Smith is a tremendous fighter, and I think he can come again. But 154 really turning into a real hot division, especially if Canelo decides to stay there, which that's all unclear what's going on. That's it for that fight. So Liam Smith now gets his first career loss, so 23-1 with the one draw, and Canelo Alvarez now in his 50th fight, he moved to 48 wins, and of course he's got that one loss to Mayweather and that one draw. So the final result, a KO in round 9 for Canelo. But that's it for that fight. We're going to move down the undercard. The chief support, Gabriel Rosado, 23-9 going into his fight against Willie Monroe Jr., 20-2. Both guys knocked out by Gennady Golovkin. And it was a unanimous decision win over 12 rounds for Willie Monroe Jr. It was a really, really poor fight, really boring, to be honest. Rosado was cut behind the head from an accidental foul during the fight. I think his right eye was cut from an accidental head, but it was very scrappy at parts of it. And Gabriel Rosado, I'm going to go on record to say this, I really don't rate him as a fighter. I really don't. I know he's been in there with some good fighters, but you know, he's just not good enough. He's really not good enough. His record now 23-10. Willie Monroe Jr. 21-3, and the less said the better on that fight because it was really boring. Also on that bill, Joseph Diaz Jr. 22-0 now. He picked up his 22nd win with a TKO in round 9 over Andrew Cancio, who had a record of 17-3 with the 2 draws. Cancio was cut on the bridge of his nose from a punch in round 3. And of course, he was stopped standing. The referee jumped in and waved it off in round 9. So Joseph Diaz, a good win for him there. And he looked really, really good in that fight. All the best for him. He's a real good fight. We've said it many, many times on this show. And also on that bill, cousin of the promoter of the whole bill, of course, cousin of Oscar De La Hoya, Diego De La Hoya. He moved to 16-0 with a win over Luis Orlando Deval, who had a record of 22-2, and it was a unanimous decision after 10 rounds. Also on that bill, Joshua Franco, and he moved to 7-0. His opponent, Brian Bazan, who had a record of 9-3. Bazan was down twice in round 3 and once in round 4, and that is when the stoppage came. It was a KO in round 4. So Joshua Franco, a product of that Robert Garcia Boxing Academy over in Oxnard, a good win for him, and you know, he's a bright prospect that everybody should listen out for. Also on that bill, another prospect of the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy, Hector Tanahara. We've had him on the show before. He moved to 7-0 with a win over Roy Garcia. It was a win over 4 rounds, and it was unanimous. Also on that bill, our very own friend of the show, Anthony Yarde, he moved to 8-0 with a TKO in round 1 over Rayford Johnson. Rayford Johnson 11-20 going into that bout. It was a bit of a last minute thing, you know, because his opponent was to be announced for quite a long time. I think that fight got made on the week of the fight because there was no announcement prior to that, and it just came in at the last minute. I don't know too much about Rayford Johnson, but he was stopped in the first round. It was like a left hook to the temple of Rayford Johnson. He had a bit of a flurry early on in that first round where Anthony Yarde was able to weather the storm and come back with good shots. You know, we know that he likes to get them done early, and this was no different, to be honest. It's brilliant for him to have made his mark over there stateside. A lot of people were really excited. I saw a lot of tweets, actually, from Americans that were there in attendance at the time saying, this kid looks really good. I'm certainly going to, you know, start watching him and seeing how he progresses. So that's really, really great stuff for Anthony Yarde's fan base to be known over in the States so early on in his career. And of course, as I say, he landed this left hook and his opponent was on the ropes and he just kind of didn't know where he was. He didn't even go down, but he was completely dazed. His hands fell down and he looked like he was going to go, and the referee jumped in and saved him. So that's a TKO win in the first round for Anthony Yarde. So he's now 8-0 with 7 knockouts. So good stuff for him. I really, really wish him the best. But that's really it for the reviewing. That is all the reviewing. That's all the talking of the fights that happened last week. Of course, in a minute, we're going to welcome our first guest. But before that, Ayaz comes in with the news. Ayaz, tell us this week's news.
Michael Conlan has signed a professional contract with Top Rank.
Yes, a big move for him. Of course, a bad decision going against him in the Olympics, in the 2016 Olympics that have just gone over in Rio. So he was very annoyed with that. It was a disgraceful decision. The less said, the better on that. And he's now decided to turn pro with Top Rank with Bob Arum. He's done the jump. He's gone over to the United States to fight. And it'll be interesting to see what Bob Arum does with him, because he moves his fighters really, really well. He creates fantastic opportunities for them. And it's an exciting link-up. It really is. I saw a picture on Twitter of him and Bob Arum both with their middle fingers up. And they looked like they were having a lot of fun. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but I think it's something to do with what he did in the ring in Rio. I think he was swearing all over the gaff, wasn't he? So we wish him all the best of luck, of course. Him and his brother, real good fighters. It'd be exciting to see what he can do in the pro ranks. Okay, Ayaz, any more news?
Yes, Paddy Barnes announced he's turning professional as well.
Yeah, Paddy Barnes, of course, it's come out this week that he's signed some sort of contract with MGM Marbella. Surprising, that one, to be honest. I thought he'd go with a big-time promoter, but I'm not sure if that's promotionally or managerially. I know that MGM Marbella, they actually do both sides of the stuff, so I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, it's exciting to see Paddy Barnes has made the decision to turn pro. We all know he was a great amateur. Any more news, Ayaz?
Over McKenzie has pulled out for a clash this Saturday against Marco Huck.
Yeah, we was all excited for that one. It was set to happen over in Germany, of course, and he's pulled out of the bout with an illness, over McKenzie. I remember having him on our show, on one of the first shows we ever done. It was just after his world title challenge for the IBF cruiserweight title over in, I can't remember where now, but somewhere in South America, and he was brilliant. I'd never spoke to him before he came on our show, and it was great to have him on, and he really could have probably won that fight. It was a bit of a strange decision, but he was going to get another big shot here against Marco Huck. It wasn't for any kind of major title or anything like that, but it was a big fight, and it was one where he was going to receive probably a large paycheck, and if he got the win over Marco Huck, it would certainly set up something big for him down the line, which unfortunately didn't happen. So I hope that he gets a speedy recovery, and I hope that he gets a chance at having this fight once again.
Yes, and finally, Chris Eubank Jr. has vacated the British middleweight belt after pulling out next month's title defence against Tommy Langford due to an injury.
Yeah, it's strange, this one. I'm not sure if it was the injury that came out first or the fact that he was vacating the belt. I think maybe he vacated the belt and then the injury come, but he was set to take on Tommy Langford. Now, Tommy Langford and Chris Eubank Jr. have previously sparred. A lot of people say that Tommy Langford got the better of him. Again, sparring, and people tell tales. But that is what people were saying. I'm not sure that, I know that Eubank Jr. would be a huge favourite, and I'd definitely side with him in that fight. And it was definitely a hard task for Tommy Langford. But it's interesting now, Ayaz. What do you think about this? Because it's a strange one. He's had 2 or 3 chances to fight for a world title. He had the Danny Jacobs fight lined up, sort of thing, which he decided to vacate his interim belt, and then he had the Billy Joe Saunders rematch on the cards, and he decided to turn that down for what I'm told was big money. And then, of course, it was there to fight Golovkin, which Kell Brook ended up taking his opportunity. So he decided to drop down. He went down to British level. He got the win over Nick Blackwell, and he wanted to win that belt outright and get 3 defences. And he's obviously vacated the belt, so he won't be winning that title outright. But what do you make of it? Where does he go from here?
That's the question. Where does he go from here? To be honest, I'm not quite sure myself, because he's been stating he wants to fight Golovkin, and that fight didn't happen. That fight didn't materialise, so therefore Brook took the fight, like you said. It was mandatory for Danny Jacobs, and he decided not to take that fight. So to be honest, for him, I'm not quite sure where he's going to go from there.
Where would you like to see him go from there, Ayaz? Because it really is, he's burning bridges with a lot of promoters. You've got Frank Warren saying he never wants to work with him again. You've got Eddie Hearn, basically slating him in loads of interviews, saying that, that they're crackers, basically. Mick Hennessy was his promoter before, and that ended on a sour note, I think. And he just, who's he going to work with? Do you reckon we could perhaps see him go over to the States for a while and maybe link up with someone over there, maybe join forces with Al Heyman or something like that?
I could see that happen, or he could be one of those boxers that they don't have a promoter. They're self-promoted themselves. So what they do, they just fight on anyone's shows. Yeah,
the thing with that is, I think he's basically tried that. He's tried that. He's tried to to fight on these shows. He fought on a couple of Frank Warren shows, I believe, with his dad promoting him, Eubank Promotions, and it hasn't really worked out. They're not able to generate the money that they could have, and they're turning down loads of opportunities that they're being, that are landing in their lap, so to speak. So in your heart of hearts, Ayaz, do you think that we're going to see Eubank in his next fight or his next couple of fights? Do you think we're going to see him remain at British level, taking on your Tommy Langfords and your Nick Blackwells of this world, or do you reckon that we're going to see him, in there with some sort of world-ranked opponent in the next few fights? Where do you see him going from here, opponent-wise?
Well, this fight, his next fight, I'm not quite sure. But I reckon by the end of 2017, he will have a big fight.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. I mean, people have probably said that about the end of 2015, but we're still here, and hopefully we do see him stepped up, because it really, really does need to happen. He's a tremendous talent. I think he can definitely go all the way, but we're yet to see him prove it. We're yet to see him, actions speak louder than words, and he does a lot of talking. A lot of people trying to mock him, saying that because he said the other day, didn't he? He came out saying that his corner don't own towels. It was disgraceful that Kell Brook's corner threw in a towel, and then he pulls out of this British title fight, which was pretty bizarre, to be honest. A lot of people finding that pretty funny. But is that it for the news, Ayaz?
Yes, that's it for the news.
Okay, excellent stuff. Well, that's really it. Just before we end part one, there's, of course, one last thing to do, and that, of course, is to welcome our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, fresh back from his fight in Texas on Saturday, it's, of course, Mr. Anthony Yarde. Anthony, welcome back on my show, my man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, my friend. So how's things?
Oh, things are great, man. It's a good feeling to done what I've done, go to Texas and fight in the AT&T Arena, like one of the biggest stadiums in the world, under the Canelo card. Amazing experience.
And I know that you really took to the Mexican fans. A lot of them were starting to call you Antonio Yarde. How good was that?
Yeah, you know what? The reason I said it over and over again, that I love Mexican fans. And I love diehard British fans as well, and diehard American fans. But Mexican fans, there's something different. Like the atmosphere they bring, the loyalty they have for their fighters. Like if a fighter's from Mexico, the loyalty they give them is amazing. It's tremendous. Even if they're just starting off, like their first fight, second fight, if they're Mexican and they represent Mexico, the support's amazing. But I just love the atmosphere they bring to boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you took on Rayford Johnson on the weekend on the Canelo Smith undercard. You stopped him in the first round. I was just saying to our listeners a minute ago that it was like a left hook that seemed to daze him, perhaps catch him on the temple, maybe. Is that an accurate description of what went down?
I would say more over on the chin. I hit him like square on the chin. It's a lead left hook. And I just see that he had certain patterns when he was going back, and he just kept his hand very low. So when I dipped and threw the left hook, I knew it was going to hit him even before it did. That's why I kind of swayed off to the right of him. And I didn't feel the need to hit him again, because boxing is a dangerous sport. And if I hit him again, it could have made the whole night go sour, because I had a clean shot on him. And how he was sitting on the ropes, boxing is dangerous. You're wearing 10-ounce gloves. And when you're boxing at anything over usually middleweight and above, anyone that can punch or that has an accurate punch can really hurt somebody. So I don't need to hit him again.
Yeah, I see. You sort of backed off, and then you realised, the referee weren't stopping it. You went to walk back in, and he just waved it off. Yeah, he done the right thing, I think, the referee. Now, were you happy with the way it ended, getting a first-round stoppage, or would you have liked it to go the distance? Because remember, you're going out there, you want to try and make a bit of an impression, a lasting impression on the audience. Are you happy the way it ended with a first-round KO? I
was caught in two minds, really. I was 50-50. When it first started, I said to myself, I wanted to go at least 3 rounds. That's why, partly as well, when I actually did hit him initially, I kind of went to the side. I wanted to do a free to give him a count, and then kind of box after that. But I wouldn't have hit him anyway, even if I wanted the first knockout. I would have probably just jabbed him or whatever and tried to drop him a different way. But I did want to go a few more rounds. But then the only thing I regretted afterwards is the fact that he was still on his feet. I wanted to have a more spectacular knockout on that kind of stage. But everything happens for a reason, and I got the knockout, I got the job done, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I saw a lot of tweets going on just after the fight, I saw a lot of American boxing fans saying that they liked what they saw and they were excited to see more of you, which is obviously a good look. How were you received over there? How well were you treated, not just hospitality wise, but also by all those fans? I know that as I mentioned to you, we spoke just briefly. I know that you went straight on like a telecast. Everyone seemed to really like what they saw from you before the fight and after the fight.
Yeah, as I said, like the way boxing's run when there's a Mexican event going on, whether it's America and England or anything like that, they really do take to boxing. And I made good friends with one of the Mexican presenters, Berto. He's a nice guy. He's the one that was interviewing me. He was the one closest to me when I was getting interviewed on that little, the table thing, yeah. And they just love boxing, man. And like they're nice people. They talk to you, teach me how to speak Mexican, things like that. And then you've got Tattoo, the guy that does the presenting. He was going, because in America at the Golden Boy shows, they go around and give out T-shirts and on the microphone. It's like it's a concert. He went and picked up my little brother and was calling out my little brother and things like that. So it was a good event for me, man, all round. It was the first fight my mum had been to as well, which was special to me. First fight my little brother had been to. So it was a special night for me all round.
Oh, brilliant, man. Brilliant. Now, did you get to watch Liam's performance? If so, what did you make of it, Anthony?
I did. I was proud of Liam, man. He didn't go in there to lay down and get a payday. He was genuinely fighting his arse off, if I can say that.
Yeah, of course. Say anything on this show.
Yeah, Canelo's, obviously in a different league. Whether that's in terms of experience, he's fought so many champions. He's fought the Floyd Mayweathers, Shane Mosley. He's fought so many guys at the age he is. He's 26. But I would say that Smith's done a good job, man. To go 9 rounds with Canelo and give him a fight. He was hitting him. Whether Canelo was doing that as on purpose to practice certain shots or whatever, nobody knows. But in my opinion, he gave him a good fight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Canelo was extremely sharp. I think he definitely didn't underestimate him. You could see that by his performance, which was it was a great performance that Liam put up. It was just like I was saying earlier. He kind of some of the rounds he was winning like 1 minute 20 seconds, but losing 1 minute 40 seconds, and you just couldn't give it to him. He done so well. It was gutting, to be honest. I hope he bounces back from that. Now, when did you get back, Anthony? I bet your sleeping pattern's completely up the wall.
It's messed up. I got back on Monday.
Okay.
And I got back on 12 noon. So I tried to stay awake all the way until like usually bedtime. So like around 12 o'clock. It didn't work. When it got to, I was so tired after 12 o'clock. I was drinking coffee, everything to stay awake. When it got to 12 o'clock, I couldn't go back to sleep. Like, I was up, and I spoke to a few people I was with as well. They said, yeah, they did the same thing. They were just up. So I'm still adjusting now. They say coming to this country is one of the hardest countries to adjust back to. My jet lag always starts when I come back to this country, not when I'm actually in another country.
Yeah, I hope we get that sorted out soon. And now you're listed to go back out on October the 22nd. You're out on the Wales card, if I'm not mistaken. Would that be your last fight of 2016? Do you think?
Not sure, really. I'm not sure. Hopefully I can get out again after that. So we'll just see we'll see how it goes, really. If I get another first one knockout, I'll probably be out again.
Yeah. I'm
just waiting to see what happens. I'm ready to fight now, man. I just turned 25 in August, and I'm 8-0 now. Soon to be 9-0, and onwards and upwards from there.
Last time we spoke, you mentioned before on our show that you believe that if Andre Ward against Kovalev, if that fight ever got made, you'd side with Andre Ward. Now that fight is happening. Yeah. I know that Kovalev was in the house on Saturday. Are you still sticking with Ward to win that fight?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've seen Andre Ward at light heavy fight once. Whether he wanted to get the rounds in at that weight, I don't know, but he didn't really look as sharp, I'll say, as he did at super middle. But, he's fighting bigger guys now. They're taller, they're more rangy, they probably hit a bit harder. So, for the second fight at light heavy, it might be too early for him to adjust, but I still go with Andre Ward. He's got I always go with someone that can box, and he's got a very good boxing brain in him, if not right now the best in boxing. So, I'll go with Andre Ward 100%.
Yeah, you can't argue that. Now, I just wanted to ask, are you happy with the progress thus far of yourself, fighting as regularly as you have done this year? Are you happy with it all at this stage?
100%, yeah. I'm very happy. Everyone, I've had a lot of people saying to me about, go over to Matchroom because there's Sky Sports. I've had people saying to me, like all sorts of things. I'm very, very, very happy with Frank, and I'm a loyal person. Me and Frank, when I have a good relationship with somebody, there's no reason for me to go and have any reason to jeopardize that. I'm not jumping guns here, but I've fought on the Canelo Smith undercard on my 8th professional fight. I didn't go to the Olympics and win a gold medal. I had 12 amateur fights, so sometimes it's just how much you put in your grit and work hard. Sometimes, and most of the time, I would say, in my opinion, good things always come of it. It's how much you sacrifice, the work you put in. So I don't really think it means too much about going to this promoter or that promoter. I'm with one of the best promoters now, and it's up to me how I perform in the ring.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the way my career's going at the minute.
Okay, that's brilliant. Now, there's another big Anthony in action this weekend, Anthony Crolla. I don't know if you watch any of the lower weights at all. Do you pay attention to those weights?
Yeah, I know who Anthony Crolla is. Yeah, I know who he is.
He's in a huge fight. Yeah, he's in a huge fight this weekend. He's putting his WBA lightweight world title on the line against the former WBC champion Jorge Linares. I don't know if you've got an opinion on that fight at all.
Linares, like years ago, he was listed as one of the best up-and-coming fighters. He's going to be the best. But his performance has dropped within however many years. So he's not the same fighter, in my opinion, as he was back then. But Anthony Crolla, he digs deep and he finds a way to win in some situations where you count him out and you say, oh yeah, he's going to lose this fight. This guy's too big for him, or this guy's stronger than him, or anything like that. Anthony Crolla's got a very good work rate. He's world champion now, so this is an interesting fight for me to see. It's one of those fights where you say, person should win, but this person can win. So it's one of them interesting matchups when you say, I want to see that fight. So I'm definitely going to be watching.
Yeah, absolutely, and we both backing Anthony on that one. Now, Finally, Anthony, is there anything before I let you go that you want to get off your chest at all to anybody?
Not really. The only thing I'm always on this thing of people message me a lot, and sometimes I can't reply to everyone. Especially after my fights, people always ask me for advice, and they're amateur and they want to go professional and things like that. I say this: the people I haven't replied to, I just say this to them. I say, just keep working hard, believe in yourself, and make the sacrifices you need to make, and things will fall into place. Like I just love to see people happy and succeed. I done a program the other day, and they said, what really upsets you? And I hate to see you at things like poverty, people doing things they shouldn't be doing, kids getting led astray. Because I was in that lifestyle as well, where I could have went a completely different lifestyle. And I see a lot of kids nowadays, people that I know are so growing up, I'm thinking they're going to be a football player because they were playing for the youth team of Chelsea or things like that, and I'm seeing them selling drugs now, and I'm like, what happened to you? Like you just got put into the cycle of doing wrong stuff because you're hanging around the wrong people. So I just told them, stick to what you're doing. If you want something, you can get it. It's like nothing's impossible. So yeah, that's what I'll get off my chest today.
Okay, good stuff there, man. And Anthony, listen, it's always a pleasure having you on this show. I want to thank you once again for giving us a bit of time this week, and we'll speak in the future very, very soon, of course.
Anytime, 100%.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, we're going to start with the preview part, as always. We're going to start over in the Dominican Republic. Top of the bill over there, Javier Fortuna, 29-1 with the one draw. He takes on Marlon Cabrera, 22-0. That actually should be a good fight. I don't think that's going to be getting televised, but definitely pay attention to the winner, because that really is a good fight. That's a 10-rounder at super featherweight. That's it for the Dominican Republic. Now we're going to come back to the Civic Hall over in Grays, Essex. I was actually there the other day. Top of the bill over there, Ben Hall. We've had him on our show before. He's in a 4-rounder at super welterweight against William Warburton. Now we've seen him upset a couple of prospects, including Georgie Keane, Frank Warren's prospect, which I haven't heard much about actually for about a year or so. So I'm not sure what he's up to. But William Warburton, 20 wins, 97 losses and 8 draws. He has about 25, 30 fights a year, this man. He's really fighting every other week. And I've got to say, he's in there against Ben Hall. And Ben Hall, I don't want to say he's got to be on his A game to win, because he's a good fighter and he should be able to beat him in his B game or his C game. But William Warburton is very ragged, and he definitely comes to fight. He's not one of them journeymen that comes in there and just tries to lose, tries to cover up. He will really come for it, and he'll try to get on the front foot. So Ben Hall should get the job done here. Hopefully next week we'll announce that he's 9-0 with the 1 draw. But that's it for the Greys card over in Civic Hall. We're now going to fly out to Poland. I just want to mention, top of the bill, Adam Bałski, 6-0. That's his record. So he's had 6 fights, 5 by knockout. It's an 8-rounder at cruiserweight against Valery Brudov. Now, Valery Brudov, of course, we remember him. He came over to fight Tony Bellew. He's got a record of 43 wins and 9 losses, okay? So that's 52 fights under his belt. He's taken on a man here who's 6-0. Fair enough, it's an 8-rounder, but wow, this is a really this is a lot to ask of someone who's only had 6 fights. So I'm not sure about Adam Bałski. Maybe he's got a really good amateur career, but obviously, whoever's made this fight is very confident in him. He's the home fighter, and he better get the job done here, because it's a real huge ask. I remember it was a bit of an up and down fight for Tony Bellew, not physically, not actually up and down literally, but Tony Bellew was in a little bit of trouble. I remember that. But it's a big ask for someone who's 6-0, but hopefully he gets the job done. But that's it for Poland. We're now going to mention one fight happening over in Malaga in Spain, of course. Top of the bill. Well, the only fight on this card apparently is just one of those one fight shows that they seem to have over in parts of Spain. Big sexy Sean Turner. He looks to move to 8-0. He's 7-0 at the moment. He takes on Valery Semiska. So that should be an easy win there for Sean Turner. His man's opponent, 18 wins and 30 losses with the 1 draw. Now we're going to go over to the big one happening in the Manchester Arena, formerly the MEN Arena, formerly the Funds for You Arena in Manchester, of course, United Kingdom. Top of the bill, Anthony Crolla, 31 wins, 4 losses and 3 draws. He's taking on Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares, the former WBC lightweight champion, and of course, Anthony Crolla putting his WBA world lightweight champion on the line. It's also for some sort of WBC diamond title. It's not officially a world title. It sort of is, it sort of isn't. But it's a lovely, lovely belt. And it's, of course, got a bunch of diamonds on it. So it'll be great for anyone's mantelpiece. But this really decides who's the best in the division. I know that you've got WBO champion Terry Flanagan, who'd have a lot to say about that. But, since Terry Flanagan won his title, which he won in spectacular fashion, by the way, when he won the title, when it was vacant. But ever since that fight, I think that Terry Flanagan has looked very lackluster. I think that he hasn't really been too impressive. He's got the wins. He's got them, he's got the wins pretty wide as well, but he hasn't really looked spectacular. And, I think that Anthony Crolla, with the momentum that he's got, he's really, really tremendous at the moment. He's brilliant, always brilliant to watch, great wins. I know that you're a huge fan of Anthony Crolla as well as I am, Ayaz. How do you see this fight going? It's a big fight. Jorge Linares is looked at as the number 1 man in the division. Of course, if Crolla could get the win here, he would become the number 1 man as well. I know that Jorge Linares is a big favourite, even though he's travelling over from Venezuela. How do you see this fight going, Ayaz? Talk to me.
Obviously, Linares is the favourite going in, but remember this year, when Crolla fought Perez, where he won the title, and then he fought Ismael Barroso. Now, a lot of people thought when he fought Ismael Barroso was favourite to go in that fight, and Crolla stopped Barroso. Obviously, many people are going to be thinking, yeah, Linares is going to win this fight because he's the favourite. But remember this year, this is boxing, and obviously, if he wins this could be a big upset.
Yeah, as you said, both times that Crolla has fought at world level, when he fought the first time against Perez and it was a draw, then he got the rematch and he knocked him out, and then he took on Ismael Barroso. As you said, he's been the underdog in all of those fights, but he's managed to win, so he's been absolutely brilliant, and he's been upsetting the odds. But this is a huge ask, and this is the biggest fight of the lot. This is really probably the biggest fight that can be made in the lightweight division, to be honest. I know that Crolla and Flanagan would be a huge fight over here, but I don't think it really makes as much money as a lot of people may think. I think that Linares and Crolla, it's a great fight. It decides number one. Who is going to be the number one in the division, in my honest opinion. So, Ayaz, I'm going to press you for a prediction here. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Maybe we can bring up the prediction league if we both go against each other.
I'm going for a Crolla win on points.
Okay, I'm going to go with Linares. Okay, so we don't really have to say the outcome, whether it's going to be points or knockout, but I'm going to go with Linares. In my heart of hearts, I really hope that I'm wrong, because I want Crolla to do it. I really am a huge fan of Crolla. He's brilliant, man. I really love Crolla, and I'd love him to pull it off. But I think it's the hardest ask that's been put in front of him. It's the hardest task that's been put in front of him, and he really will have to be on form here. He has been in tremendous form in his last few fights, but let's have it right. Darles Perez and Ishmael Barroso are no Jorge Linares, so it really is going to be a great fight. I'm really looking forward to it. I cannot wait till Saturday night. But that's it for the main event. We're now going to move down the undercard. John Ryder takes on Jack Armfield. John Ryder 23-2, Jack Armfield 20-2. John Ryder's formerly been on this show as well. He's fighting for the WBA International Middleweight title. He's looking to defend it. He's actually the champion. It's over 12 rounds, of course, at middleweight. And all the best of luck for John Ryder. This is a bit of a... it's not a great card, but there is some, apart from the main event's a huge fight, and the undercard's not great. And the reason why I think is because it's not on pay-per-view and there's not that extra money there. But Callum Johnson's also on the bill. He looks to move to 16-0. His record at the moment, 15-0. He's fighting for the vacant Commonwealth light heavyweight title. And also on the bill, Hosea Burton, a fighter that I really believe in, a fighter that I really think can do big things, and he's really quite classy. And that's, of course, a cousin of Tyson Fury. Now, Hosea Burton was supposed to fight Frank Buglioni. We had Frank Buglioni on the show talking about that fight as well, but he actually picked up an injury. It was a cut eye, if I'm not mistaken. So that fight ended up being cancelled. So Hosea Burton decided to still go ahead and fight. And his replacement opponent turns out to be Fernando Castaneda, who by chance actually has fought Frank Buglioni. Frank Buglioni knocked him out in the 5th round. His record is 24-10. So Hosea Burton, I'm sure, will try to get him out of there quicker than Frank Buglioni. But, he's got to keep his eye on the prize here. He's got to still be on his A game to get a win here. But Hosea Burton, 17-0, and I think he's really good. I wish that fight happened between Buglioni and Hosea Burton. It looks like it may happen in the future. I'm hoping so. But it's a shame, because it was, apart from the Anthony Crolla fight against Linares, which is going to be a great fight I'm really looking forward to. As I said, the next fight I was really looking forward to was Hosea Burton and Frank Buglioni. It was going to be a great fight. It was a bit of a 50-50 in my opinion. But because that fight is not taking place, it's kind of it's kind of deflated the card a little bit now in terms of excitement for me, on my part anyway. I'm sure a lot of guys still look forward to the other fights, but that was a great fight in my opinion. Now, also on that bill, Marcus Morrison, he looks to move to 13-0. Also on the bill, Isaac Lowe, again, he's another man that's been on our show. He looks to move to 13-0. He's got that one draw. His opponent to be announced. It's not been announced yet, and that's at featherweight, of course. And Conor Benn, he gets out again. That's another good thing for the card. Hopefully they show that fight on the telecast. I'm sure that they will. And he looks to move to 5-0. He takes on Ross Jameson, who has a record of 1 win and 1 loss, and that's a 4-rounder at 140. But that's really it for the previewing. That's all the previewing done. That last card I just mentioned there, the Crolla Linares fight, will take place on Saturday night on Sky Sports. And of course, that's the 24th of September, this Saturday. So a real intriguing main event, of course. That's it for the previewing. As I said, there's one last thing to do before I welcome on our second guest, and that last thing is to mention the funny name fighter of last week, his result. So we mentioned last week Aram Amirkhanyan is actually a real person. It's unbelievable. He picked up a TKO in round 5, and he extends his win record to 6-0. So a good win for Amirkhanyan. And one that I just wanted to mention is happening this week. Just want to keep this little segment short and sweet. There's a fight this week taking place in Georgia, USA. A man called William Williams is taking on a man called Jamal Williams. Okay, so if William Williams wasn't funny enough, then he's actually taking on a man called Jamal Williams. So the fight is William Williams against Williams. So it's all a bit confusing. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put my money on Williams to win it. Okay, we will leave that there. But that's it for the funny name segment, short and sweet. Now, the last thing we've got to do, of course, before we get on to the end of the show, and that is to welcome our second guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hard-hitting middleweight and these days an internet sensation. It's, of course, Mr. Spike O'Sullivan. Spike, welcome back. It's great to have you on again.
Thanks very much for having me on again, Joey. Good to be back.
Yeah, man, always. Now, firstly, Spike, you fought on the weekend over in the States at New Hampshire against Jamie Barboza. Now, you won the fight unanimously over 8 rounds. I haven't seen the fight. Could you briefly talk us through it?
Well, it was my first fight back since December, so it's been almost 10 months out, so it was good to get the rounds under my belt, and the 8 rounds was good for me, and shake off the ring rust, and went quite well.
I mean, as I say, I haven't really seen the fight. Were you happy with your performance at all? I really haven't seen even a clip of it at all.
Yeah, I'm reasonably happy. I won pretty much every round and dropped him in the 7th, and he's a big enough, tough, strong guy. He'd challenged for the interim world title at super middleweight, and he'd been also a WECU world champion. He was no mug, And as I say, it was my first fight back in 9 months, and I only played for 5 weeks. So all in all, I was happy.
Okay, great stuff. Now, will that be it for you for this calendar year, or will you be fighting again before the year's up?
No, I intend to be out again before the end of the year, definitely. I was actually offered a fight there in Vegas in October, but I won't be able to do that because my missus is due a baby this coming Monday.
Oh, wow.
I have to look after things at home first. But I'm back in the gym there tomorrow, so I'll be keeping in shape. But I can't be going away for training camps for a few weeks.
Okay, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks very much.
Now, in your opinion, I think you said he was too small, Kell Brook, going into that fight against Golovkin. What did you make of his performance afterwards, Spike? I mean, personally, I thought he did pretty well in the first 4 rounds. I kind of had it 2 rounds apiece. How did you see it? I know a lot of people gave him no chance beforehand, but surely he did quite well, no?
Yeah, I think he done very well. I think his stock has risen as a result of that fight. I think he showed how good a boxer he is, and he caught Golovkin more frequently than anyone I've ever seen catch him. I think being a bit smaller, he was a bit faster, and that helped. Inevitably, in the end, he was injured and taken out. I thought it was going to happen. Golovkin was a bigger, stronger man, but he done very well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sure you would have seen Chris Eubank Jr. respond to the whole thing, saying that his corner doesn't own towels. They'd never throw in a towel. Then the following week, he vacates the British title and pulls out the fight with Tommy Langford. What do you make of that, Spike?
I think it's pretty embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing the sport as well. Like, I think it's making a bit of a mockery of sport. I think it was a big insult what he said as well to Tommy Langford. I think he would have beat Tommy Langford, in my opinion. But I think it's very insulting. I think he's an insulting guy, and I think it was very disrespectful to the fans. The boxing fans. Frank Warren stated that all people have booked tickets, hotels, travelling, and whatnot. And to let them all down, I think and his comments about throwing in the towel as well. The doctor's statement stated that he'd only tennis elbow, which I've had, God knows how many times, to be honest. My elbows have been sore in training camps and still fought. I think overall it's embarrassing, really.
Yeah. And are you over that whole saga now with Eubank Jr.? I know that for a while he kind of got on he got on your nerves, you got on his nerves a bit. Are you over that whole thing now, or is it just a case of you might wake up and feel like insulting him?
I still don't really like him, and I'd like to fight him again. He burst my eardrum that fight and disorientated me, and it messed with my equilibrium and my balance and my vision also as the fight progressed. So I'd like to settle the score and fight him again, but he's calling himself a warrior and this and that, and what kind of a warrior pulls over a sore elbow?
Yeah,
I think as I say, overall, I just think I describe things as an embarrassment, the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave that there. Now, I know that obviously you wanted him in the ring for a long time. You got that fight. It didn't work out on the night, despite putting in a good effort. Now it seems like you've got your eyes set on the former Olympic bronze medalist and unbeaten as a professional, Anthony Ogogo. Where did all that stem from, Spike? And why do you dislike him so much?
Well, he said he'd fight me, he came over with a statement there when I think he might have been out for a few drinks, to be fair to him now, all right. I think I'm not sure, I think he was attending a boxing match, I'm not sure, but it looked like he was. I thought he looked like he was out for a few drinks. He was saying that he'd fight Billy Joe Saunders for Eubank Jr. on me. I was actually out injured at the time, weird, I wasn't sure whether I'd fight again. It was 2 months after the Eubank fight. So kind of pissed me off that he was talking over me at that point. And, I'd like to fight him. And since then, he's come up with very strong statements saying he'd end my career if we fought. Insulted me. Saying that he'd end my career if we fought in Dreamland, and he also, his promoters trying to protect him. When I called him out, they said that I need to get a W on my record, which I've got right now, actually. On last Saturday night, and I think the guy I beat was by far a better fighter than any guy he's ever beaten in his career, and I'm here and I'm ready for the fight if he wants to have the fight,
You made a statement. You said that you were going to knock him out whether you saw him in the street, in a press conference. Now, I know that you joke a lot, but I really sensed that you wasn't joking when you said that. Would you really try to hit him outside of the ring?
I would, yeah, because he made a video where I filmed in London giving me a lot of grief. I don't intend on letting him get away with that. And, when I see him, I'm going to have at least 2 strong words with him. And, if I have the thing to even give him with smacking him out, shut him up.
Okay.
Because I don't think he's got the balls to get the ring with me, so, I want to give him a smack anyway.
Okay. Now, ideally for you, if that fight was to happen, when would you like that fight? Because it's a bit rushed. If it was going to happen at the end of this year, I don't suspect it will. Would you be happy for it to happen sometime next year? If so, when would be best for you?
Any day, really. To be honest, I'd fight him before the end of the year. No problem. I'd fight him anytime. I don't think he's such a big threat. To be honest, I think it'd be a reasonably easy fight for me. I don't think he's on my level. And I'd fight him anytime.
Okay. Now, obviously, a lot of people you've really kind of captured the imagination of a lot of fans. A lot of people were really loving some of the videos that you're doing recently. I mean, I saw the one where you walked into Subway wearing a mankini, which was just brilliant watch. And I just wanted to know if there was any other videos coming up soon. Do you plan these, Spike, or is it just literally, just heat of the moment, not heat of the moment, but like off the cuff kind of thing?
Yeah, off the cuff, they just come to my head and just do it for the crack. My brother there, we've been laughing doing it. Therapeutic, good for the mind. Laughter is the best medicine. We have a great laugh making them, and good fun.
Yeah, of course. Now, before I let you go, Spike, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to get anything off your chest, if there is anything. Is there anything that you want to get off your chest at all?
Not really, no. Just, I suppose Anthony Ogogo, and Sutherland brothers. I got the W now that you were asking for, and the ball is in their court. I'll fight him any day, anytime, anywhere. I don't mind. I go to Norwich, as he said he wants to fight Norwich. I'm sure I can do Norwich. I've done PO2 in London. I've done Madison Square Garden. I'm sure I can fit Norwich in. So, I'll fight him, or even go to Germany, Sutherland brothers. It doesn't bother me. I'll fight him anywhere.
Okay, some strong words there for Anthony. All right, listen, Spike, I just want to say it's always a pleasure speaking with you. You know that anyway. I appreciate you giving us a bit of time this week, and we'll no doubt speak again soon, my friend.
My pleasure, Joey. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again, and sure, no doubt I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, now it's time to conclude episode 51 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. Throughout the month of August, there weren't really any big fights on, so we aimed to bring you 4 weeks of world champions. We ended up bringing you 8 weeks of world champions instead. I think it started just before August. Now, that run has now ended, and we're back to reality with boxers that are relevant to each week's show. Firstly, I'd like to thank our 2 guests that took part in this week's show. Of course, Mr. Anthony Yarde and Mr. Spike O'Sullivan. Two real gentlemen outside of the ring and two real animals inside of the ring. It's always a pleasure. Now, finally, the biggest thank you of all goes out to our listeners that make this show what it is. Remember, if you get time, please leave us a review on iTunes, as it really means a huge deal to us. We'll be back next week with another big show. As always, until then, my friends, take care.